kids just live in the moment so much. They don't think about the future so often. They're stuck in, I tell them all the time, high school is this and your life is this. Okay. You're in this little area right here, this small little portion. There's so much more to life than these 4 years.
Welcome to the FocalFlip Podcast. Every week we take a deep dive into the mystery and stigma behind mental health and explore real-life stories of struggle and triumph. We aim to educate and encourage others as we bring together a diverse group of guests. From the streets to sanctuaries, classrooms to boardrooms, mental health does not discriminate, and neither do we. Prepare to laugh, prepare to cry, prepare to be changed. Let's get into it. All right. Hey, everybody. Welcome back to the FocalFlip Podcast. We're rocking, rolling, season 2. This is our first one because you all know I love high school basketball. You guys know that this podcast was very richly rooted in high school hoops because that's where my love is and where my loyalty lies. So we had to keep it rolling. So, there are some teams that I missed out on that I was excited to get in. And this is Coach Ross Hart from Beechwood High School. How are you, Coach?
What's going on? How are you? Thanks for having me out today.
Hey, man. I'm doing good. I really appreciate you coming out.
Absolutely. Happy to be here. Happy to, like I was saying a little earlier, my son leaves for college tomorrow morning. So to get away from my wife and her tears for an hour or so was not the worst thing in the world.
It's going to be our podcast and therapy session, y'all. That's what this is. You got a kid getting ready to go to college.
Yeah, she told me to give her a shout out on this. So there's her shout out. Now she's going to kill me after that.
There's the shout out, Bob. There's the shout out. That's awesome. Well, let's go. I'm going to kind of give a brief little introduction here. So as to how I know you and my reason for inviting you on to the podcast. So for everybody who's listened to some of my previous episodes, know I came up in the playing ranks of basketball and high school hoops, got into the coaching ranks of high school hoops, specifically in the 9th region. And when I first got into the JV varsity group was when I really started to meet a lot of cool coaches that I didn't necessarily know. Folks that weren't head coaches yet, guys who have really been behind the scenes grinding as assistant coaches, doing a lot of the dirty work, a lot of scouting. And when I first came as a JV coach, I'm a very strategic person and I have to plot, plan, and prepare. And when I was asking like head coaches, like, hey, how do I scout for these JV teams and stuff? Like, how do I get ready for this? And they just kind of would look at me like, you don't.
Yeah. It's gotten a little bit better with everybody. A lot of these JV teams, you can find games on YouTube and stuff like that. And when I was a JV coach, I kind of leaned on Brossart. Does a great job out there. Some of their people out there posting statistics and things on JV. I'm looking up JV box scores. All right.
Yeah.
Did Ryle play Brossart? What was their line? See if I can pick out a shooter who hit the most three. But basically, when you're coaching JV basketball, it's a lot of you're learning on the fly and you're making in-game adjustments. After a kid hits 2 threes, I guess that's the shooter. I guess that's who we got to get out on tonight.
That's it.
Yeah.
That's it. And that's 100% JV basketball. And the reason I bring this up is because there were some great JV coaches. These guys, I could reach out to a handful, you being one, where we would share each other's books.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Yeah, we did that too.
Yeah, and that was kind of like a little community thing that I really liked. Brent Souter treated me with incredible respect. Nick Dorning, when he was, JV coaching, incredible respect.
Yep.
Very respectful. Just like cool little community.
Absolutely.
And it was like that way, at least when I'm JV head coach in the first year, I don't feel like I'm going out completely blind and just flying by the seat of my pants.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, if you can build a relationship with those other coaches, those, seeing those score books and things like that, you'll take any edge you can get. Yeah.
So I thank you for that because you were very helpful to me when I was starting to get coaching JV, and you were a successful JV coach. And so it's weird saying it like this, but any competitor as a coach or an athlete, when you see successful coaches or athletes, like you really want to beat them. And so I saw you as a successful JV coach. So when it was time to play you or Souter, it's like, hey, man, you get a win over these guys. They're legit coaches.
I appreciate it.
That's what people said of you.
I think anybody who's a good coach or someone claims that they're a good coach, they can always point to the Jimmies and Joes for sure. I've been blessed when it's come to that, but I'll take the compliment. I appreciate that. Those are all some good coaches that you just named. It's been fun to kind of come up with those guys and do those battles in JV over the years, and to see those guys get their opportunity at the head coaching level. And I'm patiently waiting, and I couldn't wait to get my turn, and now I finally have, and it's awesome. Yeah,
I love it. That's what I thought was really cool. It's just that everybody has patiently waited their turn, and they've got it. And so we'll get into that as we roll through here to the episode. Let's go. Let's start with a little history. Coach Ross Hart, why don't you tell us a little bit about your background, your upbringing, and which clearly you're a basketball coach. So tell us about the love for basketball and how that transpired.
Yeah, a Beechwood graduate, went there kindergarten through senior year, bleed red and white, played there. Graduated in 2002. We were Division III back then. We had 17 wins my junior year, 18 my senior. I think that it might be flip-flop, but unfortunately at Beechwood, we just did not have a very rich basketball tradition to speak of, and that's something we constantly talk about now. Last year, we had an opportunity. It was our 93rd season last year, and it would have been the first time that we ever went to the region 3 times in a row. And unfortunately, we fell short, but that's just the lack of history we have in our program. So when I was going through a player, every time we broke it down, I was a captain, region on 3. And we just, unfortunately, our teams weren't good enough to make it to that. And what's cool now, coming back as a coach, is seeing how far our program has kind of come from those days. And now we're able to reach some of those goals. But yeah, back when I was a player, I was a nice small school player. We had some, like I said, some decent teams, but nothing that could compete with the big schools. But I enjoyed my time playing and my friends and the social aspect of it. Yeah. And
what year did you graduate?
2002.
Okay, so you're ahead of me.
Yeah. So, but yeah, all those great teams, and we ran into Scott my sophomore, junior, and senior year. And back then our district was Dixie, who was loaded. They had the Bramlages and some of those guys that were they were one of the top 2 teams in the region back then. They were
loaded.
Then Scott was in our district. You had the Chris Thompson, Ben Lai, all those guys. Yeah, they were loaded as well.
Justin
so
Morris.
they were 1 and 2. Yep, on those teams. So they were 1 and 2 in the district each year. Yeah, and then Lloyd was also in there. So you had the Hopkins brothers and those teams.
Yeah, Myron and Mike.
Yep. So we got them our senior year, but they got us our junior year. But either way, each year we'd run into Scott. It seemed like in the districts, and they got the better of us each year. So it was a loaded district back before Scott moved to the 10th region, and we kind of moved around, and then it didn't get any easier for Beechwood. Then when they went to moved districts to where they're with Cuffcath and Holmes, who kind of ran the region there for a while. One or the other was going to win the region.
Yeah, especially towards the ends of
and then Holy Cross as well, who had some really good teams back then. So it hasn't gotten any easier, that's for sure. But yeah, that was my playing career. And then I went on to Wilmington College for a year, Division III school. If you've ever been to Wilmington, it's some farmland out there. Yep. There's not a whole lot to do. If you're not in class or on a basketball court, you're twiddling your thumbs. So
this is Wilmington, Ohio, right?
Wilmington, Ohio. Yeah, about an hour north of Cincinnati. Take the exit about 7 miles of back road, and then all of a sudden you'll hit a tiny little city, and wasn't much to do there. So after a year there, I enjoyed my time playing basketball and going to school there. But I really had a heart to heart and with myself and said, "What is it you want to do?" And so, Mike Yeagle was an inspiration of mine. He was a football coach at Beechwood. He was a health and PE teacher and head coach. And I said, you know what? That's something I would like to do. And Wilmington didn't have an education program there. So I said, all right, what are my options? And I decided to give up the game and to transfer to the University of Kentucky and, major in education and health and PE. And I kind of shifted from being a player to looking forward to being a coach.
That's really cool. That's really cool. What is it with us that went to D3 schools for 1 year and then we transferred?
Oh, I'll tell you what, you got to love the game. That's for sure.
We all went
you're
to
not on
scholarship.
D3
schools.
Yeah. Most people aren't getting very much money to go there, if at all.
Not at all.
And most of them are private schools. They're going to cost a lot, and you're playing for the love of the game, which is awesome. But it's tough, and the lot of long bus trips and everything else.
The bus trips, man.
Yeah,
for sure. We were in the HCAC. The Heartland Collegiate Athletic Conference, where you have like Defiance, Bluffton, Mount St. Joe, all of that. And I remember those bus rides.
We were OVC, so we were all over Ohio.
Yeah.
It was every bit of Ohio we covered. But I ended up at University of Kentucky, where Nate Browning, who's coaching out at Connor now, he and I through basketball camps. Shout out to Dixie Heights basketball camp, the McFarlands.
Dude, big shout out.
Yeah, so going up,
that was one of my go-to camps.
So many guys going through those camps growing up, and so Nate became a good friend. Ryan Curtis, all those guys, and anyway, I was at UK, and I remember being in class one day. It was close to my senior year at UK. And he mentioned he was currently coaching a middle school team, and it kind of hit me like I hit a wall or something. I'm like, wait, what are you doing? And he said he was already coaching, and I'm like, I don't know why it just hadn't hit me yet that hey, even though you're still in college, you can
go ahead and coach.
You can get And so that's
interesting.
Yeah, so he was already coaching at the middle school level, and so I went home that very day when he said that in class, and I started emailing coaches in the area, Lexington area, high school coaches in the Lexington area, and got some feedback from a couple to come out and meet. But that following week, Beechwood made a new coaching hire. Rick Shumate got hired.
Okay.
And emailed him, and he was looking for a freshman coach, and that was kind of my huge break into the coaching profession. Wow. And
what year was this?
And so this would have been, I graduated in December of 2007. So it would have been back then. And so I was graduating December, but so I still had, all those fall practices. So I was going from UK. I was student teaching. So we were going 7 to 2, get out at 2:00, hop in the car, drive to Beechwood, make the hour drive, have practice from 3 to 5. Usually the girls would practice 5 to 7. Then I'd have my freshman team. I was the freshman coach, 7 to 9. So I was doing the varsity practices and freshman practices, get done at 9, drive back to Lexington, wake up the next day, student teach again. It was just kind of that.
How? Oh, that is impressive.
Yeah, but
that's really that's incredibly hard to do.
That's where I got my break. So it was something that they offered me the freshman job, and I didn't want to give it up. And
that was your opportunity.
It was my opportunity. I was going to make it happen. And he warned me before, and he said, "This, just so you know, this class hasn't won a game in forever." And I said, "That's all right." I think we had 6 kids try out. We ended up having to pull from the 8th grade, some from the 7th grade team.
You got to start somewhere.
But you know what? Thank God they were awful, because I was awful. My first year coaching, oh my goodness, I was bad.
You look back,
period, yes, it did. So thank goodness they weren't any good, because it would have exposed me pretty bad. But and it's kind of funny. Coach Fromeyer out at Scott, he was kind of he was the freshman coach at Scott at the time, and he was kind of the guy that ran he still does run the freshman tournament. And I remember I was still living at home. I graduated from college. I'm living at home, and I think I must have put my home phone number on something, and he was calling to tell me, who you play in the freshman tournament or something was going on. I just remember my mom answering the phone, and hello, Ross Hart there. Like, Mom, it's for me, Mom. But that was got my big break.
I just got my draw for the freshman tournament.
Yeah. So it's just kind of funny looking back at it. But that's how I got my break into the business. And I mean, for somebody to get their first year of coaching to be a head freshman coach, I was
that's actually really
very,
cool.
very lucky.
It's really cool.
But I went to all the varsity games, practices, so I kind of learned from Coach Shumate and those guys on his staff. And that's kind of where I got my start there.
Wow, that's really cool. Coach Shumate. Yeah, I actually met him.
Yeah.
Several years back.
Good guy, and he kind of brought
Did he go to Indiana for?
So he left after he left Beechwood. He got a job up in Indiana. I'm trying to think of where it was, but he made national news because they had something like a 29-point fourth quarter comeback, something like that. Something crazy, and they made the comeback and won the game, down 29 in the fourth, and I can't remember the whole story.
That's pretty wild.
But yeah, Coach Shumate, what I brought from him, and I mean this in a good way, was just kind of an arrogance that he had, where for the longest time we were in Division III, and our focus were on small schools and whatnot, and he kind of thought, think bigger was kind of his message, and we ended up going, my second year of coaching. Beating Cuff-Cath. We went to the region. We played in the very first regional game at NKU. Gave Boone County everything they wanted, and Brian Romas went down with a back injury. If it wasn't for that, who knows what would happen. Boone ends up going to the regional final, and Holmes got him in something like a 32-30 final, so some crazy low scoring game. And that was Coach Shumate, shout out Coach Shumate for giving me my start. Because
shout out, Coach.
Coming from college like that, I didn't want to pass up that opportunity. It was a lot of hours, a lot of driving, but got my foot in the door.
I know. I think it's amazing. It says a lot about you and your character and your work ethic for sure. But I'm literally, I work with people for a living, and I'm sitting here thinking about you being in Lexington, student teach, travel for an hour. A lot of you coaches really make significant sacrifices.
Yeah.
If you really love it. I've noticed the guys, there's been some successful head coaches come on here, and they made incredible sacrifices.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it was because they loved the sport.
And so I was at Beechwood, and then I after 2 years at Beechwood, I ended up getting actually during my second year at Beechwood, I ended up getting a coaching job at Holmes, a teaching job at Holmes, and Coach Henley actually asked me, hey, you want to come over? I got a volunteer spot. And I told him, I was close with, at the time, my younger brother was graduated. It was a lot of his friends. Even though he wasn't on the team, it was a lot of kids I knew for a long time. Mm-hmm. I said, I'd like to see these guys out, and I'll come over next year if you don't mind. And, of course, they went out and won the state championship that year. But I don't regret it. It's one of my favorite teams I ever coached at Beechwood. But you mentioned sacrifices. So after those 2 years at Beechwood, went over to Holmes and went from, a paid position at Beechwood to a volunteer spot at Holmes. And I think that's something I tell people all the time is, don't be afraid to volunteer to get where you want to be, and going from Beechwood,
because that was a step up for you and your coaching resume.
Our
right?
history at the time, it's better now, but at the time it was very much building. Whereas Holmes is this established team coming off a state championship.
Dave Henley, man,
Henley,
great coach.
Oh man, and I love spending time around him. It was that first year with him. I didn't say a whole lot. It was just learning, watching everything that he did. His attention to detail. I remember we'd be, practicing how to guard ball screens, and somebody would go, and I thought, it was, you ever clap for something, like clap, and you think everyone else is going to clap and nobody else claps with you. That was kind of me at practice. Somebody would do something, I'd start clapping, and he would stop, and he would rip the game. That's not how we do it. That's not. I thought it was pretty good, But that's that first year, just watching and learning and kind of seeing how he did everything, and really how he treats people. He's just awesome off the floor. The way he makes people feel so special. That's kind of the things I took from him in my 1 year.
Yeah, he's an excellent guy, man.
Yeah, he ended up moving on after that 1 year, and then that's when Coach Booher, fresh off a state championship, came in, and I was able to go from a volunteer to the JV coach at Holmes.
Man, that's awesome. Shout out Coach Henley. And he's been dropped. His name has been dropped in this podcast quite a few times, and I've actually got him on my list to try and get him out here this year.
He'll do it.
I've had the privilege of playing against him.
Mm-hmm.
He is what I would consider one of the GOATs.
Yeah.
You're right. It's funny because if you don't know Coach Henley, that attention to detail thing is that's it.
Yeah. His practices were awesome.
Yeah.
Fun to watch.
Pretty intense.
Yeah. He's, it's so funny when you watch his demeanor on the sideline. He doesn't say a whole lot. He's very quiet and reserved. You get him a timeout and we huddle up. He lets him have it. He would let him, or even a referee, he might even cover his mouth and give him the business whatsoever. But when you watch him, he's so mild-mannered on the sidelines.
Yeah, so he seems he was always calm. Was he a hands, pockets guy?
Yeah, he would. A lot of times, hands in the... Yep, exactly right.
Yeah, I was trying to remember as I flashback a little bit. I thought he was a hands, pockets guy on the sideline. But then when he got lit, fired up, man, he was fired up.
Yeah, he could get that way, but he was just an awesome coach, and he coached some great teams. I mean, to be the first coach to bring a title to the 9th region, and what was Simon Ken's 81.
Mm-hmm.
So
1981.
Be the first 9th region coach to win it since then. And you got to be a great coach, and he was.
Hard to do, man.
Yeah, for sure.
It's so hard to do. Hard winning a regional title and then winning a state chip. Mm-hmm. It's incredibly difficult to do.
Yeah.
That's for sure. Hey, I want to take you back a couple. I got a couple questions for you as you were kind of walking me along this story. Like you mentioned, going right into being the head coach as a freshman head coach. Mm-hmm. Okay. Tell me about all of the fears. Like you said, I made a ton of mistakes. They threw you in the fire. That is literally trial by fire.
Yeah.
Right? So when you get that job, did you doubt yourself at all on whether
absolutely.
or not you could do it? And then,
yeah,
Tell me about how you had to work your way through that as a male at that age.
I'll tell you what, the biggest kind of struggle I had was like, the natural talent I kind of had where you get the ball and you make a move and you go by somebody. I'm trying to teach a kid who might not have the quickness that I was blessed with a little bit. Hey, just, blow past. So you had to learn to, not every kid can just get the ball and go by, or get the ball and make this move and go by. Yeah. So just breaking down from the X and O standpoint, but even structuring a practice. I mean, at that young, I had no idea what I was doing. Yeah, that's because I was going to ask you that next. And the transitions from drill to drill to drill. Yeah. Like there's a method to the madness when you're coaching, and you figure that out, and that comes with experience. So I had none of that as that coach. And I mean, I was thrown into the fire. So I was literally go to that freshman practice or varsity practice at 3:00, and I'd be stealing and grabbing everything from that and take it. Yeah, and take it right with me to my practices. And like I said, we weren't a very good team, but I wasn't a very good coach, so it was fine. It went hand in hand, and we learned, and we got better by the end of the year. We had a few dog fights by the end of the year. We won a few games, but not very many.
Well, buddy, you can coach now. We'll get to that point here in a little bit. You can definitely coach now. I'll tell you about some side convos I've had with people when we got to watch your Beechwood team last year. So
appreciate that.
Fun to watch. That's why I'm fired up about 9th Region hoops. I love the coaches. I've told everybody this. The trainers are getting better. Kids are putting in more work. They're getting better younger. The coaching's getting better.
I mean, it's 12 months a year now. Dude. It used to be, maybe October to March. It is 12 months a year.
Yeah, grinding. Everybody is getting better. And if one of these teams or some of these player personnel are not, you'll find that out coming the season.
Yep,
you can really see players putting in the work and coaches really investing money and time to get these kids where they need to be, so you can make a team and go make a run at this sucker.
No question.
That's why I'm so excited to stay in this thing, because number one, it's super fun. We have a lot of talent. There's a lot of talent.
Oh, 9th Region basketball is great talent and great coaches. I know we just got done talking about Coach Henley, but he was an assistant at, Murray and Duquesne, and he would come back. He said, these coaches in the 9th Region are better than college coaches we've coached against. He thought that highly of 9th Region basketball. He said it on multiple occasions.
All right, so let's talk about this. All right, so you coach at Beechwood, shout out Shumate, and you go over to Holmes. Like you said, you sacrifice. You actually take a volunteer position to go and build your resume and gain more experience under a lot of the greats in different areas as well. So tell me what the big difference was and what you noticed in coaching over at Beechwood when you first got there, as opposed to coaching at Holmes, because for listeners who aren't familiar with our area, Holmes is located in Covington, Kentucky, and Beechwood, what is it technically?
Suburbs, I guess. It's
Fort Mitchell.
Yeah, Fort Mitchell.
So Fort Mitchell, Kentucky. So it's like
quite wealthy area.
Yeah, it's a little more upscale area. So tell me what that experience was like for you.
Between the lines, when the ball goes up, there's not a whole lot of differences, being honest with you. You're coaching kids, and you don't coach every kid the same. You kind of got to fit what works best for each kid, and the X's and O's and all that. But off the court is where you're going to see the differences. There's just so many things, so many hats you wore when you were coaching down in Covington. Whether it was, I'm doing the laundry. So as soon as I get to in the morning, I'm doing laundry, washing practice gear, getting that sorted. After school, if it wasn't a school day, you're picking kids up, bringing them to practice, taking them home. On a school day, you're taking them home for sure. I had one of our players lived with me for 3 months. There's times where they come to you, they can't get to a doctor, they need antibiotics. You're just wearing so many hats there, and everybody plays a role. I know our superintendent at Beechwood now, Justin Kaiser, he was down at Holmes for a long time. His dad was a dentist, so if we had dental issues, we're sent up. Everybody just kind of had a role that we played to help these kids out that, in general, needed it. And whereas at Fort Mitchell, our kids are in general a little bit more blessed. You see a little bit more parental involvement at that with them. But at the same time, they have needs too. It's just a different kind of needs.
Yeah.
You're still going to see the social or the emotional needs at times, but it might be different where, Coach, I need you to help me get this scholarship. Will you write, a letter of recommendation type thing? So it might be a different type of need, but when the ball goes up, they're similar. They're similar,
right?
Yeah, that's the great thing about basketball and sports in general. When
different life circumstances and environments create that, but when you collectively build something together, you're right.
But resilient kids down in Covington and resilient kids in Fort Mitchell and kids that want to win and they want to get better, and that's the common factor.
Yeah, no, I love it. I wanted to ask that question because I'm very involved with kids that I've coached. I coach today, adults and kids. Mm-hmm. When you coach, it requires consistent communication, crystal clear communication, strength, a lot of different stuff. So when I was coaching at Raw, I would be texting, players would text me, life problems. You can talk basketball stuff, but they would talk life problems. And you're literally coaching at all times. You're mentoring at all times. Here recently, as you were saying that, I was trying to picture what that relationship and that dynamic is like being a coach for these players, and especially for some of the underprivileged players as well. Isn't there a new thing?
Yeah, new law.
That for some reason that triggered in my mind when you were saying that, and I was like, hold up, I wonder how much that's going to affect.
It's definitely going to affect coaches, and we're still learning our ways, and I would like to think that eventually they'll make some adjustments to it, but yeah, there's so many times that after a game or a practice, hey, I thought you were absolutely awesome tonight. Keep doing what you're doing. Love your leadership, things like that.
Yes,
just small little texts that you send to players that you no longer can. And that's what's really, really frustrating. So I actually just took a new job here at Beechwood at the school I was
congrats on that, by the way.
Appreciate it. I was over at Turkeyfoot Middle School, which is part of Kenton County. But one of the factors was this new law where I'm like, how many texts I sent to these kids, not being in the building and not having a coach in the building, communication via text. I mean, we constantly was a big thing. Now I'm in the building with them, so it'll be easier communication. But that was a bit of a factor for me. So I like to see it change a little bit, but there's apps and things like that our admin are working really hard and figuring out where we can communicate and. But, just last week, our strength coach was going to be a little bit late. He was stuck in traffic. I wasn't there yet. We have where we're going right now. We're going 3 days a week, an hour of weights, and then an hour and a half of skill work and open gym type stuff. And so I usually, while they're lifting and whatnot, since the strength coach is already there, I usually get there a little bit later or I'm up in the locker room. But I wasn't there yet. And I'm thinking, how am I going to communicate this with the guys? Our strength coach is stuck in traffic. I'm not there yet. I can't text anybody. And I was kind of stuck. And, those are just going to be some of the obstacles.
Those are going to be the situations you have to write down and see if you can make an addendum to it. Change it. Because
there's got to be some common sense in here somewhere.
Well, I wanted to ask that because I was coaching, we shouted out McFarland's earlier. I was working their camp this year. And, some administrators and some other coaches walked over and was telling me about that bill. And I was sitting back going, how... I understand the logic overall, but the logistics.
Well, if you're a bad guy, you're a bad guy. You're going to find a way.
They're going to find a way. That's what I mean.
And it's hurting the good guys.
Yeah, it does hurt the good guys because I think a lot of people are really going to learn how much really goes into what we do behind the scenes as coaches, though. I mean,
even yesterday, I wanted to make a post on social media about we had 6 kids that went and volunteered a couple hours at a Guardian school, which is part of our school system at Beechwood, where it's kind of kids that have been taken in by the state. And anyway, they needed some work done, and 6 of our kids went over there, volunteered 2 hours, we're moving stuff all over the place. And before I could give them a shout on social media, I had to check in with our AD. I'm like, all right, before I post this, am I breaking this new law? Am I all right? He's like, as long as you're not direct messaging them, you can post on social media and be fine. So went ahead and posted it, but I've got a lot of questions still that I'm tippy toeing around trying to figure it all out as I navigate it.
Yeah, because you want to follow the rules, but you also know the needs of the kids. Mm-hmm. So that is going to be an interesting area to navigate for sure. My thoughts just kind of went out when you were talking about that because of how much is involved with building a team. and then creating them to collectively come together for one
especially
role,
your captains. You're always reaching out to your captains to make about leadership stuff or quotes you've heard, trying to lead them in the right direction. And I feel like that's taken away. So I guess you could still do it. It's just going to be more in person, but there's, so many times thoughts come to your head after a game, or if somebody's down on themselves or whatever it might be, where you reach out to that kid and just try and pick them up.
Yeah, because you worry about them.
It kind of takes that away.
Yeah. All right. Sorry I went down that route, but I just had to.
It
was something that's kind of been.
I'm still figuring it out for sure.
Yeah, it's. I can't wait for you guys to tell me how it all works.
Yeah, I've heard that you can't retweet kids. So if they post something, you can't retweet it. Meanwhile, you might have more college coaches, following the high school coaches and the individual. So I just don't want it to hurt kids, because at the end of the day, that's who it's about. And,
they're the ones that are really doing all the work, and they're trying to get better and trying to grow and mature.
Yeah, so I understand the purpose of the law, but like I said, at the end of the day, the bad guys are going to be bad guys.
Yep. All right. Well, let's switch in here. So we talked about Henley. Mm-hmm. Let's talk about some of these other coaches you worked under.
Yeah. So
Booher came in next, because we mentioned him a second ago.
So
but then let's talk about Listerman too.
So Coach Henley won in 2009, and then Coach Booher comes in fresh off a championship in 2010 at Shelby Valley, and then he left Shelby Valley to come to Holmes. So I got to learn under him, and he was the first coach to win the All-A Classic State and the Big School State in the same year. So he's a great coach and awesome to learn under him. And then Mike Listerman got the job right after Coach Booher left, and I was with him for a couple years. And he's a guy that brings the energy. He might have been the oldest guy in the gym, but he had the most energy in the gym. That's kind of something.
Yeah,
that's what I took from him, is he was just constant, just a ball of energy. And
really,
and that's what I always loved about Coach Listerman, is he brought it each and every day to practice, and he was always fired up. He always liked to post the practice plans underneath the basket. As soon as he'd post one up, so he'd go down the other end, post it up. As soon as he did, it was on. He was ready. He was fired up for practice, and he had some great teams at Cuff Cath. I think they reached the semifinals one year, but he had quite a few ones under his belt as well.
Oh no, I remember him at Cuff Cath for sure. Yeah, absolutely. I just didn't know he was that energetic.
Oh yeah. Oh, he's a big energy guy.
Yeah, I mean, I can't even remember as he coached in games. I knew he was.
Oh, he's loud.
He's loud.
Giving the referees a handful at all times.
He was loud. But that's interesting. That's interesting.
Yeah.
So under those coaches, tell me about some of these players. So one of these guys I had on my podcast already, and I did not know much about him.
Ricardo?
You know it.
He's a leader, man, and just a natural leader.
Love him.
Which is awesome. It's fun going to battle with him in the 35th district.
Yeah, I want to talk about that
now.
too.
And but yeah, just an absolute natural born leader. One of the best defenders I've ever coached. And he just get after it. And then Elijah Pittman was on that team as well.
Yeah.
And it was just fun. They divide up almost every day at practice. Elijah had his team and Ricardo had his team, and just to watch them go at it.
How fun was that to be around?
Oh my gosh.
How fun were those
Jameel
practices?
Riley, he was 9th Region Player of the Year his senior year. So many talented players on that squad. It was unbelievable. And
there were practices. Some fun practices in that gym, though. That's one of our favorite gyms, is the bounciest gym in Northern Kentucky.
Yeah, yeah. And they would get after it, and I don't know. You would quite a few times you would have to break up some fights and everything.
Well, yeah,
else,
it's basketball too.
But they were, that's the intensity they brought at practice. I still talk every year when I'm coaching. I talk about the intensity that these guys brought to practice every day. And you almost tell your players, you're like, listen, I'm not telling you to fight. I don't want you to fight. But this is the intensity I wouldn't mind two guys going nose to nose at practice every once in a while. That'd be nice to play with that kind of intensity.
Yep.
You know what I mean? I'm not asking you to swing on each other. That's not what we want.
No, you want to set a tone.
But to play with that much intensity at practice, that's what we're striving for.
I love it. So tell me about Beetle, because you coached Beetle too. And then I can talk about Scotty too.
Yeah.
Because I got to coach against Scotty and watch Scotty play.
So Beetle was awesome. So I had him in his sophomore year. I had him in class, and that's kind of his breakout, his year. Because when he was an 8th grader and freshman, there was a couple other kids that were ahead of him, and he was just a gym rat. He was probably about 5'10", $150 a sophomore year, and he carried us all the way to state. And and we had a good team around him, but he was just tremendous. And I remember in class just talking to him like, man, you're really making a name for yourself. You might want to start looking at some of these schools like a Murray or a Moorhead or, and I'm talking about some of these smaller schools. And I said, what's your, do you have a dream school or a school that you're more interested in? He's like, I want to go to UK. And this is the time that, Calipari's, that he's got 5 stars coming in, McDonald's All-Americans in every recruiting class. And I'm like, okay, UK, but, let's think more realistic. Well, I'll be damned if we're not out at Rupp Arena. We just finished our first round game. We beat PRP, who had 3 Division I kids. One of them ended up being like a second round draft pick in the NFL. But anyway, we come out of the locker room, and this is the year Coach Cal did make the NCAA tournament. And so he was able to go to the Sweet 16 that year. And he was standing outside of our locker room. And it was a time where at that, I guess, time of the year, coaches can't talk to players at that time. Okay. I don't know the NCAA rules specifically, but it was one of those.
One of their dead periods.
But he could talk to us, the high school coaches. And he said, guys, that point guard you have is better than the point guard I had this past season. And he said that. I'm like, oh, my gosh. And he meant it, too. And, so that was when I was like, all right. Well,
okay, James.
Yeah. So Beetle, your dream school all of a sudden is waiting outside the locker room all of a sudden. And
that is
so cool to see,
chills.
This kid that
hard work to get that.
Yeah, this kid that, the year before he was a freshman on the varsity team and our bus was about to leave. We were at McDonald's on a road trip and we go to pull out of the parking lot. We start doing a head count. We're missing Beetle. He's playing in the ball pit over at McDonald's. So to go from, this young kid, like I said, about 5'10", 150 pounds, maybe not even that, to the next year, Cal outside of our locker room talking about how great you are. And he was an awesome player. And I was lucky enough to take him on his official visit to West Virginia where he actually ended up signing.
Yeah, man.
He playing a few years for Huggy Bear.
And played for Hugs. Yeah. Well, that was one thing. I'm getting flashbacks of him as a player now in high school. And that's one thing about him. Quick, shifty, consistent. He's pretty secure with the ball. Mm-hmm. But, shout out James Beetle Bolden.
He was a player for sure.
Yeah, I'd love to have you come on here, buddy, and tell me about about that grind, because that is a grind, because he was undersized.
Yep. He was
undersized right from
West
the go.
Virginia for a few years and then finished up at Alabama. And
Bama.
Probably could have played overseas for a little bit, but that's right when COVID hit, and it kind of screwed him a little bit as far as that went.
What made him such a good player?
His work ethic.
Just the ethic.
I mean, he lived in the gym. I mean, practice was over, he was staying. And 6 like I said, when I got to get there to do laundry in the morning, guess who I was picking up in the morning? I was picking him up from his house. He was in the gym on the shooting gun while I'm downstairs doing laundry and everything else. I mean, that was routine.
That's good stuff. I love hearing that.
I mean, there's no secret. I tell the kids this all the time. Your hardest workers usually end up being your best players.
It's so true.
I've never heard a kid say, man, I really regret working so hard. Nobody's ever said that.
That's such a good point, too. Nobody really has ever said that.
No.
Not at all. So you coach under Holmes. You're coaching at Holmes, right? You coached under Henley, Booher, Listerman, right? And then I was. When do you come back to Beechwood?
So I was playing just at, I'm a Beechwood alum, and we're just some of us older guys were playing in an open gym or whatnot up at Beechwood. And Coach Getz, who I didn't know very well at the time, just kind of approached me and said, hey, I got a opening. Would you ever consider coming back to Beechwood, leaving Holmes and coming back to Beechwood? And at the time, I wasn't real thrilled. When Coach Listerman did get the job, he was very deserving, but the fact that I didn't even get an interview kind of rubbed me the wrong way a little bit with all the time and the things I was putting in. And he obviously had the better resume, but I would at least like the courtesy to get interviewed or something.
Yeah, and the experience for that.
Yeah, so it was rubbing me the wrong way a little bit, and it was a fresh start back at Beechwood, the alma mater, and talked to Coach Getz and went and watched some workouts, and I decided, let's go ahead and make this move, and went back and was just a varsity assistant coach for a couple of years, and then ended up getting the itch once our JV coach that was there at the time left, he's our AD now, Coach Booth. Once he stepped down to do AD roles, I was kind of told him, hey, I kind of got that itch to have my own team again. And take over that JV. And one thing that people never mention about being the JV coach is, in coaching under these great coaches, guess who I'm coaching against every single day of practice? I've got the scout team going against these state championship coaches, Coach Henley, Coach Booher, and Coach Getz won the All-A state championship. I mean, these state championship coaches, I'm coaching against them every single day in practice, honing my skills as a coach. So just kind of a cool thing. But, yeah, that's how I ended up back at Beechwood, coaching under Coach Getz, who's, as all these great high school, coaches I've coached under, he's probably the smartest, just an absolute genius. The things he can see, whether we're out scouting or whatever, he'll watch a play and he can sit there and grab the paper and just draw up what all 5 guys are doing. I'm like, Coach, I need to get that on Huddle and watch it about 4 more times before I can do what you just did. But
so he can literally watch it.
Oh, he's a savant. I promise you, the things that he could do in basketball, like the things he can watch and just suddenly just draw right up, unbelievable.
And he only needs to see it once?
Only see it once.
That's absolutely remarkable.
He is one of the smartest people you will ever meet.
That makes a lot of sense whenever we were watching Beechwood when he was head coach.
He's awesome. Awesome guy, awesome person, and learned a lot under him.
Yeah, he's a solid late game situation coach.
Yeah. Yeah, and everything he'd draw up
out of
and
bounds,
all the plays, it always had multiple options and everything else. And so a lot of the stuff we still run, there's stuff that I've, kind of stolen from him. And awesome guy, awesome coach.
That's awesome. So Coach Eric Getz, shout out Getz, that's for sure. So this was 2016 when you returned. Mm-hmm. You guys got an All-A title, right?
Yeah, got an All-A title. I think it was 2018, I want to say, but
was it 2018?
I want to say that was the year. Some of those years fall together, but yeah, it was Scotty's sophomore year, I want to say, or freshman or sophomore year. Ended up knocking off Newport at Newport in the final. Made a heck of a run, and that was the first time that we had ever won the All-A, and that was huge for us. Huge for our school and our basketball program. Like I said, our program just lacked history. I mean, you look at, we've got a guy, Statman, who's gone back and gone to the library and done all this research, and he's got our all-time record. We are hundreds of wins away from being 500 as a program. Just we were awful for years and years. So when you get that All-A, that's like, okay, we're building something here. We're kind of ahead of schedule, and that kind of built into going to the regional final. I believe it was the following year, going all the way to the regional final and playing Cuff Cath, and they got us. We beat them in the regular season, beat them in the district final, and then they got us in the regional final. But it was the first time in 60 years that Beechwood had been to a regional final, and just make history.
What a cool feeling.
That's what's so cool is everything. I tell the kids all the time that you can make history. There's so many things that our teams have not been able to do here, and it's just fun to see our program and how far it's come from when I was a player to 23, 24 years later to where it's at now. It's just awesome.
I can speak to that.
Yeah,
I've watched it. I study the game. The program has came leaps and bounds.
Yeah, I mean, we used to have one gym, and you're talking about a kindergarten through senior, and we used to have one gym, and you'd want to practice. And now the third grade girls got the gym, today at this time, and then it was just so hard to get gym time. Now we've got 2 gyms, and it's from 3 o'clock when school gets out to about 9 o'clock at night. Both gyms, full teams practicing, middle school and up, elementary school. So it's just getting that second gym has been huge. And then we have admin that are all sports. Our principal is a former AD. Our superintendent's a former AD. The school AD is
top notch,
head coach. Yeah. So
we don't even have to sell the school because of that school district. Right. Beechwood is. I mean, I have family members that wouldn't move out there just to go to Beechwood because it's.
Yeah,
it's that
but it
great
used to
of a
be
community,
football. Now it's just all sports in general are just
that's exciting,
top notch, and what they put into the different programs at Beechwood's been awesome.
That's awesome. All right, so you get the head coach job, man. You get the head coaching job. What was that like?
Well, I'll tell you what, and I've got the article still in my refrigerator. It's starting to turn yellow now, but the day the article came out, it says something like Hart goes back to Beechwood or something along those lines. But the date on it is the same day my son was born. So I'm in the hospital when that, I get named. They tell me I'm the coach. I think it was on I want to say it was a Friday, and my son was born on Tuesday. But by the time the media publications and all that came out,
that's crazy.
It was the day he was born, and I'm in the hospital, and news kind of broke, and so it was awesome. But becoming the head coach, that was my dream. My buddies kind of teased me. They said back in high school, you said you wanted to teach at Beechwood and be the head basketball coach, and you're there. Ta-da. So it's cool that I'm literally living out my dream as the head coach of Beechwood basketball, and to have the program in as good a shape as it is right now,
buddy. It's in great shape.
It's awesome.
It really is. Yeah, hats off to you and your coaching staff. You guys are tough. We had conversations a lot last year. I watched a lot of basketball.
Yeah,
and I'm always going to watch the guys that were cool with me, helping me in JV wise and stuff too. So like, you guys you can coach.
We're getting there. We still got a ways to go, but we're getting there to get to like I said, my first year we made it to region, which was awesome considering we lost, everybody from the year before with the exception of one player, Jack Sullivan, who was back, which that's a big guy to get back, but we lost everybody besides him, and we were able to make it to region, which was awesome. And then last year,
did he get hurt towards the end of the year?
Man, so we played Newport. We had one game left, and I think we were 6 days away from Holy Cross, our district game. And he's at practice, running down the court, makes a pass to the left, and just non-contact, just goes right down. And I didn't think much of it. I thought maybe turned an ankle, and he kind of went over to the side and sat on the side. Our trainer went and checked on him, and came back and said it's not good. And so he went ahead and went to the hospital, and we finished up our practice, went downstairs. We were watching film for Highlands, who we had next. And by the time we finished our film on Highlands, I'd already gotten the text that he's done for the year. And that was tough. Because, 1,000-point scorer.
Yeah, great player.
All-A Classic MVP.
Great player.
Just, yeah. Awesome kid, too.
Yeah.
Great kid, great family. But yeah, it's tough when you're 6 days before your big, district game, and all of a sudden, boom. And to our kids' credit, we went up to Highlands, and they ended up getting us on a last-second shot to beat us by 1 at their place. And then we went into to the district, and they rolled us there. They did a good job, and we just couldn't quite get it together for our district game. But yeah, it was tough. It was tough to lose your best player, that late in the season like that.
I know. And you guys were playing well too.
We were.
You really were.
It was a good run, but I'm just happy. If you look at the silver lining, he got to play just about his whole senior season.
Yeah, the whole year.
Which is, we had another senior. Unfortunately, we were out at Simon Kenton's team camp in June, and he tore his ACL in June. So it was kind of the opposite.
Just now?
No, this past year.
The past year.
So at least Jack got to play his senior season, where our other senior, Austin Navin, he made it back for senior night, and he said, "Coach, I don't want you to give me a basket at the beginning of the game. I want to get my own basket." And so we kind of ran a set for him, and ended up getting it and putting it in. So he got it on his own. So
I love that.
He certainly wasn't 100%, but he worked his tail off all year just to try and make it back for senior night, and he did. So it's kind of a cool story there.
That is really cool. So what's it been like, as the head coach now, and being responsible for the varsity program, and did you change things right away from what was like?
No, I tried to take on, when I was assistant coach for Coach Getz, I tried to take on as many roles as I could. As an assistant coach, you want to make it easier for your head coach. Mm-hmm. That's one of the things you want to do. So there was a lot of roles I was already taking on. But yeah, definitely when you're the head coach, all of a sudden there's some things you didn't really thought about that all of a sudden, okay, now I got to do this, this, and this. And so there's definitely some different things there, but I've been blessed. Parents have been awesome. So it always helps when you're winning. We've had 2 successful seasons. So I guess if we have a down season, I'm sure I'll hear a little bit more, but so far our parents have been awesome, and it's been a very positive experience so far. And it's cool. As a JV coach, you never get to make the practice plans. So you can only work on your team only so much. Whereas, hey, here's the things we need to work on as a varsity coach, and you can kind of plan for that and cater to your team a little bit more. But yeah, becoming a varsity coach has been awesome, and just the relationships you build with the kids and everybody in your program, with the hires you make, assistant coaches, and all the way down to the guy keeping the clock, keeping the stats. And I actually had my dad kept the scorebook last year. He said, I'll do it if you can't find anybody. And he was rooting. I know he was rooting hard that I wouldn't find anybody. He wanted to be a part of it. And he did a great job. And having him by my side now has been a lot of fun.
Shout out Pops.
Trips. Yeah.
That's awesome.
So it's great to have him part of the program.
Very cool. Well, let's get ready to wrap up here. With my podcast, we touch a lot on mental health. But I bring coaching in, I bring sports in, because I'm not one of these victim folks. It's all about flipping perspective, changing your mentality, becoming resilient, mentally strong, fortitude, all those different things. When I played and when you played, basketball was pretty intense. The region was different. It was difficult. None of us really talked about mental health back then, man. So when I was coaching and you see kids, I've noticed, a significant shift in mental health. But a lot of times with basketball, tell me what you've seen. And now becoming a head coach and coaching at Turkeyfoot teaching at Turkeyfoot and then coaching at Beechwood and now being at Beechwood, teaching and coaching. Tell me what you've noticed.
Kids just live in the moment so much. They don't think about the future so often. They're stuck in, I tell them all the time, high school is this and your life is this. Okay. You're in this little area right here, this small little portion. There's so much more to life than these 4 years. So you try to get them to think outside the moment and things like that. You try to build confidence as much as you can because there's so many just factors that can tear them down. Social media nowadays, whether it's Twitter or the internet, there's just so many things that can take them and try and tear them down. So you try and keep just a positive attitude, confidence at all times. But it's tough because, and we talk about it sometimes and after a tough loss, hey, when you go home, your parents they're gonna be mad. They're gonna say this, and this. Just know that, hey, it's on me tonight. Whatever they say, just know it's on me. I didn't prepare you, or I didn't this or that. So you kind of try and take the blame off them. And your confidence is such an important thing in basketball. I can't have a kid shooting the ball with something in the back of his mind. Whether, hey, if I miss, I'm coming out. I tell them all, I will never take you out for missing a shot. Yeah. So you just try and build that confidence in them, so mentally they can be stronger and we tell them all the time, I know I can win with you. Can I lose with you? Can we stay together through the tough times and get through that together? So
that's a really good one.
Talk about adversity and resiliency and all those things so they have those tools in their pocket for when they need it.
I love it, man. I love it. Well, anything that you want to end on today, I appreciate you coming out because this has been awesome.
Just thinking about, so I got one funny story for you to leave on. So that
perfect.
So the Bluegrass Preps, is a common website that people like to get on and say good, bad, and ugly on there. So our kids, this is back when it first started. So I think it was about 2009, and going back to Coach Shumate, he used to get on there for bulletin board material all the time. So our kids created an account and they would just rip themselves and Coach Shumate would be using as motivation posts that they put, and they're all chuckling under their breath because it's their own post.
You knew it, he's but Coach didn't know.
No, we wouldn't tell him. And he's up there. This person says da 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 da, and the kids would be covering their mouths. They'd be looking the other way. Nobody's making eye contact.
This is the most genius thing
he
you
went
could
the
ever
whole
do.
season using this bulletin board. They say this, and they say you can't beat that.
How did they not laugh and get caught at practice?
They didn't tell him to the end of the season. But what did he say? It was tremendous. Just the different stuff that he would use for motivation. And this is, like I said, this is back when Bluegrass, it was first coming out.
Yeah, guys.
Back then you could pretty much say anything. It wasn't nearly as censored as much as it is today.
Yeah, but the guru will come in there and censor you.
Yeah.
So what he's talking about, Bluegrass Preps, was the chat forum to talk about high school hoops. And that is so funny you said that because even back then when we played, we would sprint to Bluegrass Preps. We had the Kentucky Post and all that as well. But we would sprint to Bluegrass Preps. So the fact that they did that and carried that through a season is absolutely brilliant.
It was awesome.
Name some of the players.
So Trey Boydle. Shout out Trey. He's down in Lexington, coaching middle school basketball for Lexington Catholic now.
Dudes.
So yeah, he's down there. And then Nate Snyder, who's assistant baseball coach for our baseball team now. So some of those guys, Brian Romas, all those guys.
So they
Johnny
literally
Colbier.
would create the bulletin board material knowing that their head coach was going to put the material up. So they decided to create a fake account, create the material herself, and he still printed their material.
Yep, and it went an entire season.
What do you think he would have done if he found out?
Oh, who knows?
Like before the end of the season.
I don't know.
Which you guys have ran, what the players have ran for like 2 practices straight.
But that was the type of guy he was. He was always looking for motivation. Yeah, it was just a funny one. As I was mentioning social media too, that one kind of popped in my head.
Yeah, you got any other ones? Because that is awesome.
Oh, man. We had Tim Atwell, who was our JV coach under Shumate. We're playing out at Calvary. And it was a JV game, and something wasn't going right. And he tells me, I was an assistant, it was my first year coach. And he says, grab a basketball. I'm like, oh, what's he? Okay, so I go over to the ball rack. I grab a basketball. He's waiting outside the locker room. He grabs the basketball. He busts through the door. He goes in there. He starts chewing him out. He takes this basketball. He chucks it against the wall. It goes right off the wall, comes back, hits him right in the groin, and down. And he's every bit of 300 pounds, and he went down. It got him, and and the kids didn't know what to do. He's fired up. He's screaming at him. All of a sudden, he gets hit, and he goes down. The kids took about 3 or 4 seconds, and then you couldn't help it. Everybody busts out laughing, helping him off the floor. He couldn't do anything but laugh after it. But just those type of things that happened during the season.
It would have been so funny if he would have got up and still tried to be mad.
The stuff you talk about, 20 years later when you see these guys, it's just awesome.
Oh, that's what we love. That's why I like doing this. That's why I still want to have coaches and stuff out here and still do basketballs, because there's so many great stories from it.
Oh, yeah.
Definitely. When basketball was ripped from me is when, my mental decline really happened. So that's why it's got to be huge. I've got a lot of funny stories too, man.
Yeah. Just the relationships you build through basketball. I mean, so many friends that I have, through coaching and playing. It's just unbelievable. My wife always said, no matter where we go, you're going to see somebody that you're connected through basketball with at the grocery store, wherever we go, somebody stops you. Yeah, you so are. It's just, that's the awesome side of coaching, the kids you coach, the relationships you build with other coaches you compete with and everybody else.
Yeah, it's fun. It becomes like a little fraternity thing. It's fun for Absolutely. Sure. That's I was going to tell you, if you want to see something funny, text Dorning tonight or Erickson. And ask them for the transy video of transy camp when I'm down there coaching, trying to put a comforter on one of the twin size beds.
Well, you're probably better than me.
These dudes egg me on so much, man. I love having fun.
So my first year, we went to transy camp every year with Coach Getz as well, and so I joined staff. I'm thinking in my mind, every time we go anywhere for a Christmas trip or anything like that, we're in a hotel. We're staying in dorms. I didn't bring a pillow. I didn't bring a towel. I didn't bring shit. So I'm spending that first night just laying on a mattress in my clothes. And Coach Skinner was down there. I think he had something
Skinny.
extra.
We haven't brought his name
Coach
up.
Skinny. He's going to be our JV coach this year, and he's awesome. He's awesome. He's a guy who gets fired up. And
shout out Coach Skinner.
So, I tell our varsity guys, if you don't get Skinny going off at practice, you didn't do it right, because he's coaching the JV. So we'll scheme up a couple things just to try and get under Coach Skinny's nerves and get after his guys.
Do it. But he's awesome, man.
He's awesome. He's great brain to pick, and great to have an assistant. I'm excited about his new role, and he's awesome to have in staff. Him and we got Mike Stubblefield, who is just joining our staff. He was
when's Mike joining this year too?
He's joining this year. Year. So just got him. He's doing all of his paperwork, just finishing up. So he was for those who don't know, Coach Stubblefield. He was assistant coach for Holmes back in 2009. He was the JV coach and assistant coach at Holmes in 2009 when they won the state championship. So he's helping out. Coach Blackwell, who's got over 10 years head coaching experience over in Indiana. He's another assistant. And then Owen Alcorn's kind of our young guy who's the energy, who's always in the gym working people out. It doesn't matter if you're a fourth grade girl all the way up to our varsity guys. If you want gym time, I'll work you out. And he's awesome to have on staff as well.
Well, that's great. I look forward to another successful season for you guys. Proud of you, man. That's a really cool story. Took a lot of sacrifice, a lot of grit, and then to end up back home.
Yeah.
That way,
the alma mater and I'm very excited.
And to get a PE and teaching job at Beechwood now as well. So it's all super fitting. So
I appreciate you. Thanks for having me out.
Yeah, man. Thank you for coming out. For all you guys, all the listeners, viewers, go to the website, www. I don't even think we do W's anymore, do we?
Do you have to put the W?
I don't think you do. Okay, guys. FocalFlip.com. All right. Check us out on Instagram, YouTube, Spotify, Apple, Amazon Music. We're going to continue to grow.
Love what you're doing, man. It's awesome.
All right.
Impacting people's lives. That's what it's all about.
Hey, I appreciate it, buddy. All right. We love you guys. We're out.
So guys, you should like and subscribe and like hit that
Okay,
I can't get it.
okay.
I'm not used to this.
Hey guys, subscribe to my dad's video and just like the bell.
Hit that like and subscribe button, hit that bell.
And stay tuned. Love y'all.
100%. Love y'all. We're out.
I love that.